Welcome to Jackie's Craft Table. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. I'm here for Spellbinders and I get to show you their small die of the month for May. This set is called Stacked Decorative Edges and you get 8 dies in this set. This one is a sentiment die that says thank you. I'm going to show you what they look like. I went ahead and cut them all out. Some of them just cut a decorative design into your cardstock, and then some cut out the edges. But I cut them out with a piece of white cardstock. The first one is the thank you sentiment. It also cuts out this darling rectangular frame that you can put around it. This is an A2 sized piece of cardstock that I'm holding it up against so that you get an idea of how big it is. And here are the rest of them. They cut out just these beautiful decorations on your cardstock. The two on the edges cut out a beautiful scalloped edge, and it also comes with a piece that just cuts out a straight line. And here is this one. You can really add some beautiful details to your cards with these dies. I was so excited to play with them. This is the kind of set that I'll probably leave out on my desk. I have a little bowl where I keep my favorite dies and use this often. On my card project, I'm going to use some of these dies on a white piece of cardstock. And they just punch out beautifully. It helps if you have a craft pick or a brush to pull out all of the little pieces. But they do pop out really easily. One of my favorites is this latticed diamond dies. I'm going to cut this out a few times on this panel. But doesn't this just look gorgeous? I just love the effect of this one. I'll clean up my messy work surface and then I'll continue on with more die cutting. I'm using the larger scalloped die as well. I'm a big fan of Spellbinders Small Die of the Month Club because you get a lot of unique dies. So here it is all cut out, and this is all of the die cutting I'm going to be doing. But I'll pop out all of the negative pieces. Don't those scallops just look beautiful? Sometime I want to get their tool in one. At one end is a craft pick and the other end has like a bristle brush roller on it. And you can roll it over your panel and pop out all of the negative space really quickly. And now for a little bit of Distress Oxide ink blending. This is my card base that I'm going to blend onto. And I put a little bit of tape at the top so that I don't go beyond the front of the card and onto the back of the card. I'm starting out with some picked raspberry. I'm using my foam blending tools for this. I'm putting down a lot of color. Next, I'm using wilted violet. And I'm not too concerned about getting an even blend because most of this is going to be covered up with my die cut panel. And then last is blueprint sketch. Look how beautiful that looks over these inks. I'm adding more picked raspberry at the bottom. I wanted to put a lighter application at the bottom, but I didn't like the look of that, so I do end up adding more ink later. Now I can pull off the tape, and it just looks sharp and crisp. I allowed this to dry overnight. I'm sure you don't have to wait that long, and you could even use your heat tool. But I am going to heat emboss another sentiment on this panel, and if your ink is wet, then your white embossing powder will stick to the wet ink. I put down some anti-static powder first, and then I inked up the sentiment with some embossing ink. And now I can pour on the white embossing powder, and this is for fine detail. It works really great for these smaller sentiments. This sentiment says "for everything." And it comes from a previous Spellbinders Card Kit of the Month stamp set. I just wanted to add another little sentiment at the bottom of this card. I melted that with my heat tool, and it melts really fast when you allow it to preheat a little bit. And it just pops off the pink ink really nicely. For my die cut panel, I'm going to put some small strips of foam tape behind it. I'm using these great strips from Decorative. And you can double them up if you need it to be a little bit wider. They fit into these narrow spaces perfectly. I just love these. I use them a lot. This is going to add a little more interest to my card than it would have if I just glued it down flat onto my card base. Now I can peel off all of the release paper and attach this to my card base. And sorry, my head gets in the way there. I just want to look straight down to make sure I line it up evenly. I'm not good at lining things up at all. I decided to use the rectangle die cut to put a frame around my thank you sentiment. And I'm using some more wilted violet as well as the blueprint sketch on this piece, just to add a little color to the white card panel. I love dies that cut out little narrow frames like this. I think they are so handy and fun to use on your card projects. I'll use a little bit of liquid glue to adhere this to the front of my card, and then I will do my best to align this straight onto the front of my card. I add a few clear glossy dots to the front of my card, and that's it for this card project. Thanks for joining me, my crafty friends. I'll have all of the links to the products that I used in this video listed below. I hope you were inspired, and I hope you have a fun, crafty day. Bye!